your FusionHaa. So hold on, Patrick. You know I love you, man, but I'm not gonna lie. I got some beef with you. We got beef.
What the hell?
I know.
Happened?
So
What
I got beef, man. So the last podcast we had, we went on a little tangent. We were talking about video games, and
oh yeah,
ET happened to come up, and you were like,
oh, God.
I was talking about how bad it was. You like, it's not that bad of a game.
What game?
ET.
Oh, it's not. It's not. And let me explain why.
You hold on. You hold on. So we did a podcast a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about like the worst video games that like are in existence. So we talked about some of the video games that we played that we didn't like. Then we went and played video games that people just rate that are really bad. And we played ET. If I didn't love my TV,
I love your face. I love your face.
I would have nuked this entire house. That game is so bad. Like, what's wrong with ET's neck? Why do I keep getting thrown in holes? I'm like, I feel like you're walking in the game and you're like the points are going down. So like, am I getting my steps? Like when it's over, like do I win because I got the most steps? Like, what's the point of this game? And when we were playing, I was like, I can't wait to talk to Patrick.
Oh yeah.
So we'll put it this way. We'll put it this way. It's like nothing you said is factually incorrect. You're completely right. Everything you said is completely true. But now this is what you have to think of. Okay. And this is like the way I look at video games. So it's much different than the way the average person looks at video games. So that game needed to sell like over 5 million copies to basically be a success, considering how much money Atari pumped into that game. Only one game in like Atari 2600 history has ever sold like over 5 million copies. And it's Pitfall, you know? So when the game was announced and they spent all that money to get the license from Spielberg and stuff like that, it's like imagine somebody telling you that you're the developer of a game that has this much like bluster and this much fanfare. It's like, okay, great. But you're going to do it by yourself. And you've got like less than a month and a half to do it.
Oh God.
Yeah. Oh, that's terrible.
So the thing is, it's just like not only did I speak to Howard Scott Warshaw, who developed the game, but I spoke to developers that worked at Atari at the same time, and they said that like Howard Scott Warshaw worked for 20 hours a day for like 6 months, not 6 months, 6 weeks to make that game.
Oh.
Yes. So the thing is, we have to judge it based on how long it was in development, how many people were working on. So now this is the thing. When I play ET, you know what I see?
What did you see?
I see like Toe Jam and Earl version 1.
I'm not mad at that.
I see an open world exploration game that revolves around like collecting items,
right,
and fulfilling tasks. Same thing Toe Jam and Earl is. Toe Jam and Earl is like one of the most beloved cult classics of all time. That it sold over 1 million copies. It spawned all of these successful Kickstarter games and like games on several different consoles and stuff like that. But the thing is, we're talking what the Sega Genesis was able to do.
Yeah.
The Atari 2600 was not. So the thing is, play Donkey Kong. Play oh my God, what's the name of the game that Gary Kitchen did? It's the cop game. Shit, I forgot the name of the game. But play any like pseudo platform game. Play Donkey Kong, play Mario Brothers on the Atari 2600. Even play Spider-Man on the 2600.
Okay.
Judge those games based on like what they were trying to do.
Okay.
not based on what they actually did do. So the thing is, it's just like most of these games that I've mentioned were not very great games at all. But the thing is, the Atari 2600. Think of it this way too. Pretty much all the developers on the 2600 were memorizing the assembly language in the game.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's just like if you go to Howard Scott Warshaw, what's the assembly language in the game? He could give you like 41 lines of code.
Right.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Pre JavaScript, and it's just like I remember talking to David Crane, the creator of Pitfall once, and he was telling me he was talking with Steve Cartwright, who did the Phoenix port on the Atari 2600. Phoenix is an awesome shooter, even on the 2600. It's better in the arcades, but it's great on the 2600. And David Crane said to Steve Cartwright, "Don't you think it's cool?" And this is like 1981, 1982. Don't you 1980, 1981. Don't you think it's really cool that there's probably only like 25 people in the entire world that can do what we do?
Wow.
There wasn't a lot of video game developers out there. So the thing is, like, Howard Scott Warshaw could have been working for the government. Like, he could have been doing the guy was like a rock star. So think of it this way. He did 3 games for the Atari 2600. He did Yar's Revenge, he did E.T., and he did the Indiana Jones game. Okay. And he did A-Team also, but it got canceled. It never got released. All 3 games that he did on the Atari 2600 sold over 1 million copies. So you can love him, you can hate him, but the guy made money. And listen, E.T. did not kill the video game industry. Atari was making subpar arcade ports for like 3 or 4 years. We're talking Pac-Man. We're talking there's a whole bunch of games on the Atari 2600 that people like, I would rather go to the arcade. And that's what happened. People were like, all these games that are coming out on the 2600 aren't nearly as good as the arcade version. So they're like, we're just going to go back to the arcade. But E.T. is not a great game. It's not. It's absolutely not. But the thing is, this was an open world exploration game made at a time where they did not exist, on a system that could absolutely not withhold the vision that Howard Scott Warshaw had. So I completely agree with you that it's not a good game. But the thing is, its heart was in the right place. It sold millions of copies, and it laid the groundwork for other people who were just as pissed off as you to go, you know what? This sucks. I'm going to make something better. And by the time the tools were better, they could actually do something that's better. So this is the thing too. In this comic, Dominic Craig talks about one of the first games he ever bought, okay? Like with his own money. And he talks about buying Mortal Kombat on the Game Boy.
Oh, wow.
And he talks about how awful it was. Oh. And how pissed off he was because it was nothing like the Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, or the arcade version. So he brought it back to the store, and he ended up getting The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, which absolutely transformed his life and made him want to be a game designer.
That's great. That's crazy.
So the thing is,
a great game.
Yeah. So the thing is, I guarantee you just as many people have been affected by E.T. being bad as people have been affected by great games. So that's what it's so easy and it's so fun to be like, E.T.'s the worst game of all time. And it's just like, that's like a cop-out. For me, it's just like, let's have a conversation about it. Let's know who the person is that made it. And like, this is the thing. E.T. could have been like the best game ever on the Atari 2600. And the video game industry was not in a spot in 1982 where any Atari game was selling anywhere near what that game needed to sell to break even. Yeah. Howard Scott Warshaw was put in a no-win situation.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. And Atari had to learn. And they did because, I mean, listen, a lot, if you don't know, Tengen, all those games on NES, those Tengen games, we're talking Shinobi, RBI Baseball, Gauntlet, you got Cyber Bowl. Atari had a string of massive hits in the arcade, innovative Skate or Die, innovative games that like totally regenerated like their image for home consoles and for the arcade. And then a lot of those guys left Atari and they went and helped found EA Sports. And some of those EA Sports guys went and they helped build DMG, which eventually became Rockstar. And one of those guys too, Howard Scott Warshaw leaves Atari, is out of the video game industry for quite some time. He goes back to Midway and plays a big role in Blitz's revival. So it's just like all of these guys like have had this huge impact on gaming, and it's just like so many gamers will be like, ET sucks, end of conversation. And I'll go, okay, let's put ET under the microscope. Let's look at its DNA. And at the end of the day, ET did a lot more good for video games than it ever did bad. So,
and you know what? I agree with you, especially based on this conversation.
Hell yeah.
Because I'm not a person that's like, this game ruined. Like, no, it's just a bad game. Like, I just played it because I remember my godmother had an Atari and had that game, but I was a child, man. I didn't know any better. Like, it was like, ooh, video game sounds and stuff. But grown-up Chad played this game a couple weekends ago. It was like, what is this? What happened? Oh, my God. But no, man, the way you broke that down, that's a beautiful way of looking at it.